Welcome to Arlington Public News. I'm Brenda Mahoney.
And I'm Paul Werlin. Thanks for joining us. In this edition of APN, we'll take you to the Democratic Candidates Forum for the open Senate seat. And check out the Library of Things, now at Robbins Library.
And we'll catch up with Arlington's champion state runner. That and more up next. Stay with us.
We begin this edition of APN with a look at the permitting process for the town's first medical marijuana dispensary.
And the latest on what's happening with school enrollment, as well as plans to teach the teachers cultural competency.
APN's Mitchell McLeod joins us in the studio with more. Mitch?
Thanks, Paul. Arlington's first medical marijuana dispensary has a delay in opening its doors. Dispensary owner, the Massachusetts Patient Foundation, is still awaiting final permit approval from the Arlington Board of Health, the final step before opening after receiving initial approval from the state to set up shop. Arlington Public News brought you coverage of the Board of Health hearing in April when the discussion was continued. The board again postponed a decision in its May 24th meeting, citing concerns over certain dispensary procedures. The operation will sell regulated medical marijuana out of a medical building at 11 Water Street. The Board of Health wants to know who will be providing medical information and exactly what kind of education patients will receive. The representative of the Massachusetts Patient Foundation tells APN they value the feedback and plan to answer the concerns at the next Board of Health meeting on June 21st. Schools in Arlington have a new focus on social-emotional learning and cultural competence. It's part of a safe and supportive schools initiative that calls for principals and teachers to have a set of norms when dealing with cultural differences. Besides work at the high school and middle school, elementary schools are also looking to foster an inclusive environment. Principals presented their plans at the May 25th school committee meeting, pointing out the need for staff to have a formal training in an ever-increasing diverse community.
What's also changed, and I think teachers would speak really well to this, is the dynamics in the classroom and the diversity in our community. And the tone that you set for the learning and the high expectations that you want for all your kids has to be based in a foundation of joy, of kindness, of understanding and empathy.
Setting that environment for adults first, and really doing work around why that's important and having adults understand that work is the umbrella under which we're working.
School enrollment was another topic of discussion during the school committee meeting. The incoming kindergarten numbers showed a continued trend upwards, expected to be about 500 students. A big increase coming at the Pierce Elementary School. Instead of the forecast of around 40 students, a total of 64 kindergartners have registered for class there. That means a third teacher and classroom will be needed. Superintendent Kathleen Bodie set the picture there and the rest of the elementary schools.
We're going to need 2 new positions at Thompson next year. Hardy, we know we need to have 1 position, and it was hovering on whether we need 2, but we're going to be able to stick to 1. Those are the 3. So Pierce Kindergarten is going to be an additional position that is not in the budget at the moment. We have a space challenge.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But the
We'll have a
forecast,
facilities committee, they'll figure it out.
the forecast keeps it in that 40s all the years out. So this was a big surprise.
No word yet on a long-term plan if those Pierce students continue on in subsequent grades at the higher amount. In other school news, renovations at the Stratton Elementary School are on time for a September opening. The Thompson School addition has had delays with steel delivery. School officials will know in another few weeks if that could affect the addition's September opening. I'm Mitchell McLeod for this edition of Snapshot. Back to you, Brenda.
Thanks, Mitch. Well, Town Hall Auditorium was full earlier this week when the 3 Democrats vying for a primary win in the race to fill the open state Senate seat participated in a candidate forum. The event was sponsored by the Arlington and Lexington Democratic Town Committees. Cindy Friedman, Sean Garbely, and Marianne Stewart shared their views on everything from climate change to charter schools.
I'm currently on the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, which, as you know, I'm one of 11 members that makes the decision about charter schools, Commonwealth charter schools all across the state. I think in terms of governance, we need to turn that over to locally elected school committee members and also to increase the transparency of all the financial aspects like our core public schools have to do. Right now, the only thing that is public about charter schools, frankly, is the funding, which comes from public taxpayers. And we really need to adjust the charter school law so that it is in step with the way things are being run today. 25 years ago is a different story, and now it's a wedge, a major wedge that drives privatization and corporate control of public education. And so governance, that's one thing. And funding-wise, we need to, because of the challenges with charter schools and our core public schools, it's really creating a kind of a crisis in many districts because the foundation budget isn't up to the level it needs to be all across the state. So those special in those districts and gateway communities and in rural communities. So you know, the charter school piece was picked up a couple of sessions ago, and the legislature took it up again last session. I don't know when the legislature will feel the urgency to take it up again, but it's something that I'm committed to, and I look forward to bringing that forward in the legislature.
It is incredibly important to close the achievement gap in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We can all agree on that. And my heart sinks when I talk with parents in Boston who feel that the only chance their kids are going to have to get ahead and get an education is sending them to a charter school. I've been involved in the debate over the last decade on closing that achievement gap. And the only thing that we have debated, whether or not to close the achievement gap, is through raising the cap on charter schools. That's not the way to close the achievement gap. The way to close the achievement gap is by addressing poverty. That's the way we do it. It's about workforce training. It's about public higher education access for parents. It's about increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour. It's about allowing people to get ahead. But that's the only thing we've discussed, is to raise the cap on charter schools. And the reason we can't do that is because it directly takes the funding from Chapter 70, the funding that's used to educate public schools. What we need to do, and what I'm so proud about, was I was one of the original sponsors of the Foundation Budget Review Commission that said that we are underfunding public education $500 million every year, especially in the areas of health insurance, especially in the areas of special education. We need to fund education. That's why I'm so supportive of the fully implementing the recommendations of the Foundation Budget Review Commission and passing the Fair Share Amendment, which I voted on last term, to raise $2 billion in revenue for education and transportation. But we need to get the funding formula for charter schools right. I voted against both bills. I think I was one of 7 Democrats that voted no, because it's the wrong message to send, and it's wrong to do that to our public school teachers who work so hard with the lack of resources to do the job. We need to give them the resources. Thank you.
I think it's interesting. I mean, certainly as a public school teacher, an elementary school teacher for 6 years, I know what it's like to be in a classroom, and I know what the issues that teachers face are. We've been back and forth on the charter school piece, and what I have come to realize is we're comparing apples and oranges. If we really want to understand whether charter schools work or don't work, all we need to do is level the playing field. We need to have charter schools run by the same exact rules and regulations as our public schools do. Okay? They got to take everybody who comes. They can't kick somebody out because their parent couldn't show up for a parent-teacher conference. They are transparent about their funding. They have to deal with the issues of testing and teacher service the same way that our public schools have to. So we're not comparing apples and oranges. We're comparing public schools with private schools, because that's fundamentally what a charter school is, except we pay for it. So we need to go back to the actual statute, which says we are going to create a set of charter schools as laboratories to inform public education and best practices. And until we actually do that, and we have an absolute playing field that's level, where everybody's playing for this, by the same rules, then maybe we can have a conversation. But until then, we cannot lift the cap on charter schools. Public education needs to be public.
The primary will take place on Tuesday, June 27th. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. No Republican candidates are listed on the primary ballot. You can watch the entire forum on demand at acmi.tv or check the ACMi cable listings.
The 4th Middlesex State Senate District is made up of 5 towns, each with their own identity and concerns. Here's a look at the different communities that make up this diverse legislative group.
The 4th Middlesex State Senate District, as we know it, is only 23 years old. Changing demographics and population growth led to redistricting in 1994. The towns of the district vary in size, population, and economic base. With its proximity to Cambridge, easy access to public transportation, and a large supply of multifamily homes, Arlington is by far the most densely populated of the district towns. There are approximately 8,500 residents per square mile. The town's growing popularity is putting stress on the school system. The town is currently in the feasibility phase of rebuilding its high school. Arlington has no large industry or corporate tax base. Next door in Lexington, the iconic Battle Green, historic homes, and a quaint downtown district give the feeling of a small New England town. Lexington also embraces the future with a growing high-tech district along Hartwell Ave. Woburn's industrial past has given way to a healthy retail and corporate base. The town hugs the intersections of Routes 95 and 93, making it an accessible destination for shoppers and workers. The Cummings Corporation is one of the largest employers and most recognized brands. On the other side of the bustling town center, the Horn Pond Recreation Area is a regional attraction, offering water sports, walking trails, and fishing. Just west of Woburn, the town of Burlington has seen enormous growth over the last few decades. The renovation of Burlington Mall and the growth of high-tech firms along Route 128 has led to rapid development in the area. Fast-paced growth continues. A large multi-use development is currently under construction near Burlington Town Center. The Center Green, large parks, and recreational areas maintain the feeling of small-town New England. The northernmost member of the district, Billerica, is the least densely populated. Intersected by Route 3, high-tech firms have been moving in along the highway, and on the other side of town, Route 3A offers a town center and retail outlets, both of which support the town's tax base. The 4th Middlesex Senate District includes almost 170,000 residents. Most of the state's major highways run through it, including Routes 2, 3, 95, and 93. As a whole, it represents the 5th highest median income in the state, reaching $90,000. The concerns of each town are unique, but are connected through the legislative leadership of the state senator from the 4th Middlesex District on Beacon Hill.
You know, Brenda, this is really a fascinating race to fill this seat. Did you know that the last 3 seat holders were from Arlington?
That's right. That's a good tidbit there, and it was nice to see all about the different communities which ultimately the senator will represent.
Absolutely.
Well, celebrating the bike path at 25 years and also taking a look at how it came about, coming up next.
And the Arlington High sophomore who's tearing up the track. That and more when we come back.
Welcome to the Retired Men's Club of Arlington. My name is Phil St. Marie. Meet the friends you haven't met yet. We have 500 members. We have lots and lots of organizations to meet the friends with your own common interests. And come on down. We're looking forward to see you. Several years ago, I was wondering what I was going to be doing when I retired. My wife's father was in this men's club. The guy across the street was in the men's club. Down the street was in the men's club. So I said, hey, I'll give it a shot. And the rest has been magic. This is about friendships. We have golf, we have the speaker meetings. This is how you meet the friends. You get involved with these activities. And it's just a rewarding, fun experience. If you'd like to know more about the Men's Club, fine. If your wife wants you the hell out of the house, that's fine too. So come on down, there's lots of friends that you've yet to meet.
It's over 9.5 miles long, stretching from the Alewife MBTA station to the Old Bedford Depot, and it's credited with being a major draw to Arlington. It's the Minuteman Bike Way, and this year marks its 25th anniversary. But it was actually 18 years in the making. Here's a look at a little history of getting the bike path underway.
In 1972, this Boston metropolitan area had a Boston Transportation Planning Review. And there were a whole series of changes that came into the regional transportation system, one of which was to extend the Red Line from Harvard Square through Alewife, through Arlington to 128. And in 1974, when I came to Arlington as the Director of Planning Development, we were tasked with trying to figure out how the Red Line could come through Arlington. And we took the position, and the Board of Selectmen took the position, if it was going to come through Arlington, it had to be underground. And in August of 1974, at a redevelopment board meeting, somebody said, what are we going to put on top? And somebody said, linear park, bikeway. And that's where the idea started.
Arlington is really a long piece of land, a valley on hills on either side, and this goes right up the middle of the valley, and it's like a linear park right through it, which you can ride your bike from one end to the other. Especially in the east end of it here, it's used a lot for commuters. People live in East Arlington, walk down to Alewife, people cycle down to Alewife. Other parts of it is used for commuting too, also up towards Bedford. It's used recreationally by a lot of people just going out for an evening stroll, running, jogging. People tend to congregate too, so it's a great long park that people are able to make use of that really has added a lot to Arlington. It was one of the premier rails to trails conversions, and I forget, was it the 500th rail to trail? And that was a big mark for them, and I think it's been one of the most successful in terms of usage. So the Rails to Trails organization is again another group that really helped instigate this and get it going. Their help was very, very important.
Well, we'll bring you much more on the history of the bike path and how it's evolved over the years, as well as celebrations surrounding the 25th anniversary. That later in the summer.
Arlington High School's Stand Club recently held their first cultural festival. The event featured dance, music, arts, and food from a variety of countries. Arlington High School reporter Reese Stevens spoke with the organizer.
Saturday, May 20th was Arlington High School's first ever cultural festival, so I decided to take some time and talk to Grace Mungenast, president of Stand Club and coordinator of the event, to see what the cultural festival was all about.
Hi, my name is Grace Mungenast. I'm sort of the unofficial president of Stand Club. I'm a senior here at AHS. We'll be finishing out the year in a couple weeks.
So what's the overall mission of Stand Club?
The overall mission of Stand Club, well, sort of the countries that we've been working with have changed over the years, but I'd say that the purpose still stays the same. We want to try and raise awareness of humanitarian crises around the world, and we want to try and raise funds to try and combat those crises. We want to try and raise awareness of all of the cultural diversity that makes AHS such a brilliant and creative place, and we want to try and show that we value everyone around the world.
All right, and what did you hope to accomplish with today's cultural festival?
With today's cultural festival, really what we were hoping to accomplish, I think, was to try and show that AHS is an inclusive place and that we value other cultures. And I think our volunteers really rose to the occasion. We have some beautiful displays out there with so many different activities and games. We've got trivia, dancing, jewelry making. I mean, I'm just astonished by the variety of different activities people have come up with. And I've learned so much about other cultures just by sort of trying to organize this festival. And I hope that our visitors will have done the same.
Earlier this spring, we introduced you to the Audison Science Club's students as they moved from school science fair to regional competition. Last week, 3 club members took their research to the state science fair. Tyler Delabar took 3rd place with his development of a backpack alarm designed to thwart pickpockets. And Harry Averill received an honorable mention for his research on controlled surface placement on airplane wings. If you're wondering, it turns out controls work best just where they are, on the back of the wing. This is the first time Audison Middle School students have advanced to the state competition. Congratulations to all the competitors.
In the wake of the Spy Ponder State Hockey Championship, Arlington is welcoming another state champ. APN reporter Mitch McLeod tries to keep up with the state's fastest high school runner.
Arlington High School has a new state champion. Distance runner Ryan Oosting placed first in both the 1 mile and 2 mile events at the 2017 MIAA All-State Track and Field Outdoor Championships this past weekend. Oosting claimed first in the 2 mile with a time of 9.5 minutes, a full 11 seconds ahead of the competition.
Massachusetts so far this year, that's about 9:05.
Later in the afternoon, he won first in the mile with a time of just over 4 minutes. The sophomore used strong final pushes to take home the first place finish in both races.
Ryan Austin, 4:14.
These results built on an impressive freshman season for Oosting, one that saw him join the cross-country team after never running before. By the end of last year, he ran at the New Balance National Competition, finishing 4th in the 2 mile event. Last fall, APN caught up with Oosting to talk to him about this feat.
It was in North Carolina, it was in Greensboro. I was just like taking it all in.
At some point, did you look around and think to yourself, wow, this is uncharted territory. Maybe I do have a little bit of butterflies going on here.
Oh yeah, I was definitely pretty scared.
Yeah.
Maybe not scared, but like nervous.
You finished 4th in the freshman 2 mile. You crossed the finish line. You've gone 2 miles in a ridiculously fast time. What's going through your head when you cross that finish line?
I was a little bit discouraged because I thought I could have done a little bit better, and there was a guy that I wished I could have beat.
Any disappointment Oosting felt last year should be diminished with not 1, but 2 state titles now under his belt. He is looking forwards to competing at the New England Championships this coming Saturday, and then at New Balance Nationals the following weekend, while Arlington is looking forward to cheering on yet another newly crowned state champion.
Well, yet what another impressive young athlete in the town of Arlington. We can really be proud of all of our athletes and coaches.
Absolutely. Arlington's doing really well these days, and we can be nothing but proud of our athletes here in town. Robbins Library. It's not just for books anymore.
And thanking those who gave their all.
That and more when we come back.
Hello, my name is Kylie Sullivan, and I'm a Health Compliance Officer with the Arlington Board of Health. At the Board of Health, we interpret and enforce state, federal, and local regulations pertaining to health, specifically regarding food establishments, housing issues, and nuisance complaints such as pests, odors, and noises. For more information, please visit the town website, or you can give us a call at 781-316-3170.
Today's libraries are moving away from the traditional hushed stacks of books. At the Robbins Library in Arlington, a whole new category has made its way to the catalog. Need an infrared thermometer or Hello Kitty cake pan? Don't want to buy it and use it once and then have it just sit on the shelf? Well, why not check it out from the Library of Things?
So earlier I mentioned how the library is always changing and evolving. And one of the great things that we've done recently, at least in my opinion, it's great. One of the great things we've done recently is introduce a library of things. So this is a collection of non-traditional library items. We offer things like practical things like a kilowatt meter to measure the electricity use in your home. We offer an infrared camera that you can use to measure the heat loss in your home or in your business. You can borrow things for a week at a time, and you can borrow up to 2 things at a time. And we're going to be looking to add things to our collection as well. We have all of these wonderful options for you when you come in and take a look at the collection. We also have games. So games like Settlers of Catan, Forbidden Island, Puerto Rico, and Dominion. And again, we're going to be looking to add things. Another category, kitchen things, spiralizer, rotor, slicer, and shredder, a pasta maker, and a food grinder. Some of those may surprise you, but again, we're in a learning process about this collection, and we're looking to see what works and what people find puzzling. One of the other things in there is a canning set. You can pick up a flyer about the Library of Things at the reference desk. It's this nice pink flyer, gives you all of the rules of borrowing from the collection, and that way you can have a handy reference guide. We also are going to be sharing online in our catalog what things are available. We're not quite there yet because there are some, it's a new kind of collection for libraries to offer, so we need to figure out how to list the things in the catalog, but that will be available soon too. This Library of Things would not be possible without the Friends of the Robbins Library and Sustainable Arlington. So I want to just thank them once again for their support for this collection, which makes so much sense in so many ways to Arlingtonians who like to help the planet.
The Library Show is a new series on ACMi. Library Director Andrea Nicolai offers updates and insights into current events and happenings at Robbins and Fox branches. Watch it on demand at acmi.tv or check ACMi listings for upcoming air dates. You're invited to be part of reimagining our libraries. How will future generations use libraries? They are becoming community gathering spots, places to share ideas, arts, and culture. By reimagining what tomorrow's library might look like and how it will serve the community, the Robbins Library is working to stay relevant to future generations. 2 public meetings kick off the year-long study. The first is on June 13th at 7 p.m. at the Fox Library, then on June 21st at 7 p.m. at the Robbins Library. For more information on the program, visit robbinslibrary.org.
For the second year, Arlington honored its fallen servicemen with a Memorial Day program at Town Hall. Director of Veteran Services Jeffrey Chunglo led the program and acknowledged the service and sacrifices of those who fought in the Korean conflict.
It is a great honor and pleasure to express the everlasting gratitude of the Republic of Korea for our people, for their service you and your countrymen have performed in restoring and preserving our freedom and democracy.
The town of Minuteman was changed to Arlington in 1867 in honor of the heroes buried at Arlington National Cemetery in Arlington, Virginia. Many of the patriots we honor today were young adults when they died. And in reality, they gave up 2 lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. And when they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers, grandfathers, wives and mothers and grandmothers. They gave up everything for our country, and it was for us. And all we need to do today, and all we ask of you today, is to remember them.
Participants then moved to Mount Pleasant Cemetery, where wreath-laying ceremonies took place at each of the veteran burial lots. Our thanks go out to all servicemen and women and their families. Thank you for joining us here at Arlington Public News as we explore events and issues affecting Arlington. Check out extended interviews and our latest segment on the web at news.acmi.tv.
And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Arlington Public. If you'd like to get involved with Arlington Public News at ACMi, email us at news@acmi.tv or simply stop by the studio at 85 Park Ave.
We leave you tonight with the pomp and circumstance of Arlington High School graduation 2017. Congratulations to all the graduates. I'm Paul Werlin.
Congratulations, and I'm Brenda Mahoney. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
Class of 2017, if you haven't already, you can move your tassels from the right to the left, and you can throw your caps. Congratulations.